Razor, what'd you think of that game last night that unfortunately saw the Bruins not only blow a lead in the third period, but lose a game on a shorthanded goal? That has to be one of the more demoralizing ways to lose a game.
Not ideal. Yeah, not ideal. Interestingly, I just go back. I went to China with the Bruins 7 years ago, and let me tell you, that was one treat to do that and help do clinics for hockey on a daily basis in Beijing and Shanghai.
Oh wow!
That was something else. So yeah, I don't think the NFL is going to China anytime soon. Let's put it that way.
I would tend to agree.
Tough one last night. They really slowed it down. The Bruins did a great job back to back. Rangers had to win that game essentially to keep their season alive. That was do or die for them, and they did a great job slowing it down, and we're in a perfect position to do so. And like we've talked about so often this season, special teams let them down. Essentially, a power play goal in the third, and then the shorthanded goal. I mean, it continues to get these guys. The special teams is the story, and unfortunately, in the loss is not a good one.
So, Razor, during the broadcast last night, we actually heard a little Don Sweeney, and while there was a little optimism that maybe if things turn around or if things stay more positive than negative, we can get more than 2 wins in a row. Maybe they'll believe in the team. But also he did admit that if things continue like this or the team disappoints over the next couple of weeks, they may have to pursue, forget exactly what he said, alternative avenues or a different course of action. How disappointing would it be for you if, in fact, the Bruins did become sellers, not buyers?
Well, yeah. So there's 7 games out of the break. So we still, it's going to be interesting to see. I think we have a little bit of time still. It feels like we don't because of the 4 nations. I don't imagine the Bruins making a huge deal in the next couple of days. That would be interesting. But I more see this deadline being a business deadline, one way or the other. Whether it's we talk about sellers or retool or whatever. It's not like they're tearing the thing to the studs. Like, they have too many good players to do that. It just comes down to, okay, we need to know if you're going to sign here or not. Guys who are unrestricted, guys who are restricted, because we have other options in play here, and we need to move forward. So I think those conversations are going to be had over the next few weeks with the guys, again, we know who are going to be unrestricted. The Trent Fredericks, the Morgan Geekies, the Justin Brazeaus, and a couple restricted guys. So you have conversations with those guys, and with internally, do we want these guys? And then externally, do you guys want to be here? And those are the kind of deals I can foresee happening. It's going to be more of a business deadline. And I also think that's the case for a lot of teams in the East that are going to still kind of be in it. These teams are going to be in it at the deadline, and it's really going to be hard if you're a Bruins fan or an organization who are 1 point in or 1 point out of the playoffs and say, no, we're just going to punt on the season. I don't think the players would be down for that, and I think that they think that they have a really good opportunity to get in still.
Okay, Andrew, I retired from the Patriots in 2005 and then just was going to go out in a blaze of glory and stay up all night and make bad decisions. And there was a lot of times I found myself hanging out with a lot of hockey players that were in town playing the Bruins, right? And some of the greatest guys, I won't say any names, but I had a lot of fun with these guys when they were on the road. And I'm sitting looking at the Bruins kind of road record right now. They're 1-8-1 in their last 10 road games, and I'm trying to figure what the hell's going on? Why can't they play better on the road? I don't want to suggest they're partying like the guys that I used to party with, Art, but why are they having so many issues on the road, Andrew? What is it about playing on the road that this team seems to have a problem with?
Well, they might need one of those nights. I think maybe the issue is the guys nowadays. The guys nowadays don't play guilty enough. I think that's more of the issue, because that was always the recipe for us back in 2004 and 5 and 6. You get in a rut, you let it rip. Yep. I go back to the special teams, the teams that typically, and again, this is one of those things that is so different this season than what the Bruins have been for the last 6-7 years since I started really covering this team back in town. Is it was an automatic that the special teams were going to be in the top 10, both penalty kill and power play, and it was automatic that they were going to be one of the best road teams because their defensive structure allowed them to stay close in games, and then they were going to, like last night, the defensive structure was great last night. They didn't let the Rangers get on the rush. They didn't let the Rangers get much offensively, and they kept themselves in the game in the third period. And then what would happen typically is they would kill that penalty and keep it 2-1, and then they would score on the ensuing power play 2 minutes later, make it 3-1, and then it would be game over. So that's really the crutch for me is that's the difference, especially on the road. The special teams have to keep you hanging around, and you have to close out games. And that 1-8-1 is, if they don't make the playoffs, that's really what we're gonna tear down, is road record with the special teams.
Nesson's Andrew Raycroft joining us here on WEEI Afternoons. Razor, what do the players think of the Four Nations tournament here in this break in the middle of the season, and what impact do you think it will have on the end of the regular season, if any at all, the players that end up playing in it, the players that don't, and how it all plays out?
I think it's going to have a huge impact on the end of the season. And again, that's another reason why I want to see what this looks like out of the break. You got one more game Saturday. I want to see what those 7 games look like coming out of the break. I get a sense that the Bruins will be able to benefit from the break more than some of the other teams that are around them in the playoff race. But it is going to absolutely affect all of these teams, whether good or bad. It's hard to tell. No one will really know. But it is absolutely going to be different for these teams coming out of the break and where they're at. And when to the question of the players, the guys around the league that I've talked to that are playing in this are really excited. They're really excited to compete best on best. It hasn't been since 2016 that they've been able to put on their team country colors and play against the best players. We haven't seen Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon play together before. We haven't seen the U.S. team all together as young guys, Austin Matthews and Charlie McAvoy. So guys playing in it are really excited. I think the intensity will ramp up as soon as they hit the ice next week. I think it's going to be a pretty cool tournament. And then for the rest of the guys, they're excited, of course, to have a break. Like to have 10 days off in the middle of the season is absolute gold.
Yeah, okay, so they got one game left. You talk about, Ted brings up 1-8-1 in the last 10 on the road. So you got one game left before the break, and that's at home. Tough one Saturday against old pal Bruce and the Golden Knights. Then they have the 2 weeks off, and then they open with 3 straight at home. This has got to be a stretch where they pick up a little momentum, hopefully after the break, Razor, with those 3 straight games at home. And I also read that no Lindholm before the break, obviously, but there's a very good chance that he returns right after the break. How much of a difference do you think he can make on that home stretch once they return from the Four Nations?
I've been banging the drum here for a little while now. I think he changes a lot. As we talked about the special teams, he's the first one over the boards on the penalty kill with Brandon Carlo all last season. He's the one who can fill in on the point. He's definitely on PP2, but he can move up if it's struggling within a game on PP1. He's the one in Game 7 last year against the Toronto Maple Leafs. When they're down 1-0, he scores in the third period to tie the game with 6 minutes left. He's the one who makes the pass to David Pastrnak off the backboards in overtime in Game 7 to make. He's the star of Game 7. I think that losing him for 30 games has really affected this team, and getting him back, again, is part of that bump where they get a training camp, they get a break, and they get Hampus Lindholm back. I think that's what's giving me hope for them to hit their ground running and really go on a run after this break at the end of the month.
With that shutout the other night for Swayman, it felt like to me he has turned a positive corner of late over the last month plus, whatever it may be. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is he the third string goalie on the USA roster? So now he's going to get a break here where I'm guessing he's not going to play a ton. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Now that he's finally maybe hitting his stride, is that a bad thing that he might not play a lot of hockey for the next 10 days?
So I would be more concerned if he wasn't going to Team USA. Like I would, because again, I think I agree with you. He's grinded really hard. He's really been grinding the last month to get his game and continue to work through it. And I think he's starting to feel positive about himself. So if he was just going to the beach for 10 days, that would concern me a little bit. But again, another positive, I'm looking at positives all the time. He actually gets to go and play against the best.
Yep.
He's going to go and practice against the best guys in the world. He isn't going to play. I can't imagine. This is a really short tournament. I don't think he gets in the net with Connor Hellebuck being the starter as the Vezina leading guy, Jake Ottinger being number 2. Like, it'll take a lot for him to get in the net, which is also a good thing for Bruins fans because he gets to practice against the best. He gets to look at those two guys, what they're doing, and really pick up and then come back rested, but also sharper. So I think it's a great opportunity for him to really finish the season strong by going to the tournament. He's also right in Boston, too, so it's not like he's flying cross-country a few times to do so as well. So I think he comes out of the break really rejuvenated by going to the tournament and not going to the beach.
Razor, you know we've started this tradition of asking our analysts to predict the next game. So
I crushed it last week.
Crushed it, brother.
Well, you got another chance. Got another chance. Vegas at the Bruins on Saturday. What do you got there?
I can foresee this being kind of a game like last night where it's a little sleepy. Bruce Cassidy's looking ahead to Team Canada. A lot of Vegas Golden Knights are looking towards the tournament. Guys are looking towards getting on the break and getting to the beach. So I would expect it tight right down to the end. And again, I've got to take the Bruins finding a way to get 2 points before the break and keeping themselves right, whether it's wild card 2 or being 1 point behind. I think they find a way to win. But it's going to be it'll be a little bit of a pillow fight because of the fact everyone's Don't look ahead, guys, but look ahead to that great vacation.
Yeah. Where do you NHLers like to vacation? Where do you guys like to go? What's your spot? You got a destination that you prefer over other ones?
Mexico is always easy for us. That's an easy flight in and out, exactly. Especially the West Coast guys. You get to Cabo quite easily. Like on this long break,
Cancun's a 3-hour flight from here.
Cancun's great.
Nice little easy flight.
I went to Cancun for 2 All-Star games. We went to Cancun for the long break. In 2010, I was in Vancouver. So we went to Hawaii, and that was pretty spectacular for the 10 days. That one. So guys will be going all over, but definitely if you were at the airport if you're at Logan Saturday morning, you're going to see a bunch of guys running through the gates trying to get out of town Sunday morning for sure.
All right, Razor, appreciate the optimism too heading into the next game.